Welcome to the Pimp Your Brilliance podcast with Monique Malcolm, a show about leveraging your existing knowledge, unique skills, or passion to build a thriving creative business. I aim to show you what's really possible when you stop letting fear have all the fun and start taking action towards your goals. You can learn more about this show and subscribe for updates by visiting pimpyourbrilliance.com. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Pimp Your Brilliance. I'm so glad that you're here. This is episode number 93, and you can find show notes at pimpyourbrilliance.com/93. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to invite you to take my digital product quiz. It's like those BuzzFeed quizzes that help you figure out which Hogwarts house you're going to be sorted into, but with a business twist. It'll help you figure out which digital product you create. It's really quick, it's easy, and you'll get a list of my favorite product creation resources once you're done. So if you're curious about which digital product you'll be paired up with, you can take the quiz over at pimpyourbrilliance.com/quiz. I'm back with another juicy episode of Pimp Your Brilliance, and today I want to talk about how to identify a skill that you can monetize. I feel like this is like top 3 of the questions that I get from people or the things that I hear when I talk about what Pimp Your Brilliance means, and I try to explain to people how you can make money from knowledge you already have. And there's always this like deer in the headlights look like, oh, I get that. That sounds great, but I don't know how that's going to work for me. So I have come up with 3 questions. 3 questions that you're going to ask yourself, and it's going to help you unlock the floodgate of ideas to how you can pimp your own brilliance. Because if you weren't already aware, Pimp Your Brilliance, when I think about those words and when I chose those words, here's what I feel they mean. They mean to leverage your existing knowledge or skills to make money. I believe in letting people pay you for what you already know and do effortlessly. And this is really the key. That's the secret sauce to pimping your brilliance. Unfortunately, figuring out the knowledge or skills that you can monetize really trips people up. And this happens mostly because they undervalue what they know, or they wrongfully assume that no one is going to pay them for this knowledge or this skill because everyone already knows how to do this. And newsflash, friend, you couldn't be more wrong. I know, and this is going to be like an overly simplistic example, but I think it covers so many things. I know how to bake a cake, but that never stops me from buying a slice every time I go to Publix, which is my local grocery store. I'm always buying their cakes, even though I know how to make a cake. But the reality is, there's several reasons why I do that. And these are the same reasons why people are going to be willing to pay you for your knowledge. One, it's a convenience thing. Even though I know how to bake a cake, do I really want to bake the cake? Do I want to spend all that time sifting flour and measuring ingredients when I can just grab this slice of cake off of the shelf? No, convenience. And then to fast track the process. So again, how long is it going to actually take me to bake this cake? It could be an hour and a half, 2-hour process, getting all the ingredients together, mixing, the time to wait to bake. I don't want to do that. I want to fast track the process and hurry up and eat my cake right now. And then the other thing is, sometimes people view you as the expert. So in my mind, there is no place better when it comes to birthday cakes and buttercream frosting than Publix. They are the cake experts for me. So that's why I'm always buying their cakes. I'm willing to pay probably a huge upcharge. I mean, it's not a huge upcharge. It's about like $3 or $4 for a slice of cake. But when you think about what the cost of ingredients were, or even if I bought a box cake and some ingredients, by the time I spend money on 3 or 4 slices of cake, it equals up to that amount. But I cannot overlook the convenience, how it fast tracks the process of me getting the cake, from desire to my stomach so quickly. And then the fact that I view them as the cake expert, the buttercream frosting expert. And if you know anything about me, you know how much I love buttercream frosting. Like seriously, it is my top 3 favorite foods that I could eat for the rest of my life. It's kind of, it's out there, but I'm revealing secrets today. Figuring this out and identifying a skill that you can monetize is crucial. It's crucial in the process of pimping your brilliance and building a thriving creative business. Because you don't have a business if you're not making money. And the only way you're going to make money is you have to offer up something for sale. And in this case, we are offering up our knowledge, our brilliant brains, our skills, our expertise. Okay. And so that's why I came up with these 3 questions. I call this my, get it? Okay. It's kind of cheesy, but I call this my SPY method. And this is SPY with an I, SPI. These are my SPY questions. And there's 3 questions. And once I give you these questions, I want you to take them, grab a sheet of paper, and answer the questions, and then look for the overlaps. I'm certain that once you have these answers down on paper, you'll begin to see where you can make money. There'll be some ideas brewing. Okay. I'm willing to guarantee this. And if it doesn't happen, then you're going to email me and I'm going to help you come up with some answers. Okay. Because that's how confident I am that the SPY method, my SPY questions are going to work. But seriously, let's talk about these 3 questions. And I'm going to share the questions. And then at the end, I will give you a working example of how this looks. And I'll tell you about my super smart friend, Andrea. And then you're going to go do this activity for yourself. So here we go. Question number 1, skills. This is the S in SPY. What are your unique skills or knowledge? So don't overthink this. This does not have to be something that you are degreed in. This does not have to be something that you have a special certificate in. Although, if those things apply, please write them down. Okay, they still matter. But even if they're not something that you have a bachelor's degree in or any type of certificate in, it doesn't matter if you're self-taught. If you are sufficient in this, you can create repeatable results. You've gotten results for yourself. Write it down. It counts. I am not a graphic designer by anybody's degrees or certificates, but I can do a lot of graphic design. I mean, pretty much anything that has been designed for me that you have seen, I have created myself, including the Visionary Journal. I designed that from scratch myself. So I'm just telling you, doesn't matter if you went to YouTube University, if it's knowledge or skills that you can apply and share with someone else, write it down. If you're still stuck trying to figure this out, I want you to think about, what are people always coming to you for help with? For my sister Maria, a lot of people come to her with questions about family and breastfeeding because she has a large family, and that's what people tend to see her as the expert in because she does it so well. She's been doing it for a while. Also, as I mentioned before, specialized training or expertise that you can leverage, this goes on the list too. So if you work a job, and I'm drawing blanks, but it doesn't matter, if you have learned some kind of specialized skill or training through that job, write it down. It still counts. This is knowledge that you can apply to something else. It doesn't even have to be your exact industry. And you'll see why I say this at the end when I share the example. But question number 1 is all about your skills. So identify your unique skills, your unique talents, anything that you have passion and you're just doing really cool creative things in, write those things down. Question number 2 is problems. So what are your audience's problems? And at this point, you may not even think you have an audience, but if you have people who have come to you for help with a specific topic, the skill that you noted in question number 1, that's your audience. So think about, what were they coming to you for help for? What were they struggling with? So with the example of my sister, and a lot of her friends call with questions about breastfeeding because she has 6 kids and she breastfed them all. So it's clear what they're struggling with. They're struggling with having issues with the baby latching. They could be having issues with, maybe they don't feel like the baby is feeding enough, or they have questions about what are the best tools or things that you can use if you have a new baby that's breastfeeding. Just think about it in terms of like, what are people asking, and use that to infer what are the problems there. And this is really important. Out of all the questions, this is the most important one, because I hate to say this, but your skills don't matter if you don't have someone willing to pay for them. So you can have all the skills in the world, and you will have a business that does not make any money if you cannot solve a problem for someone. That's why problem solving is always our focus with our businesses. If we're solving problems for people, if we're offering them solutions, we can make money. The issue is when we try to create businesses that don't actually help people. They don't solve a problem. They don't offer a solution. I don't know how to tell you to make money that way. So make sure that you really give some thought into what your audience's problems are. And if people have reached out to you about something specific, feel free to circle back and ask them what their problem was, or, what was happening in your life at that point that you came and asked me this question. Another place that you can look, if you're already posting things online, you have a blog, you have an Instagram, you have a Twitter, you have email, what things are showing up in your inbox or your comments? What are people asking you to help them with online? These are their problems. People are actively searching for answers, solutions to their problems. So just be a good listener, and feel free to follow up if someone has asked you a question, to get a little bit more insight into what their problems are, and maybe even how you can be a solution for them. So that was question number 2. Question number 3. This is about your interest. So this is the I in SPY. Does this align with your interest? And I think this question is important, but I put it last because I want you to first think about, what skills do you actually have that you can utilize? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We want to make money off of what you already got. We want to leverage what you already have. And then again, making sure we're solving problems for people. And then last, making sure that those 2 things align with your interest, because I do not encourage anyone to build a business or a revenue stream around things that they don't like or things that they're not interested in, because entrepreneurship is a journey and it's not always the easiest journey. So I want to make sure that this is going to be something that you're going to be excited and interested in pursuing. If not, you're not going to stick it out for the long haul. So if your unique skill is in, let's say sewing, but you hate to sew, you could write it down, but don't build your revenue stream. Don't let the idea that you monetize have to deal with sewing. You're not going to like it. As a matter of fact, it's probably the fastest way for you to hate it. So don't do that. So aligning your interest with the skills that you have and the problem that you want to solve for people, like those 3 things together, if you think about a Venn diagram, where the answers overlap, that's where your nuggets of ideas are going to come from. So I want to share this as an example. Like, what does this look like as an example? And this is when I get to tell you about my friend Andrea. Andrea, she's so brilliant. She's a fellow Sagittarius like me. I love her. And she really has a knack for numbers, and she works in finance. She's worked in finance at some really major companies. I'm not going to share them because that's not for me to share, but this is how I would answer these questions based on what I know about Andrea. And I chose her because I really thought long and hard about, okay, where do these questions fall? Like, where would the answers for these questions fall for her? And I felt like, oh, this is a really good example, and I want to share it. So for the first part, answering it based on what I know about Andrea, skills. So Andrea is great with budgeting. It's part of what she does in finance at her job. She is great with trip planning. I know this because she has planned several group trips for myself and our friends. She's great at events and experience planning. She's done several really cool events in our local city, which is Orlando. When it comes to problems, these are things that she has told me. So people come to her wanting to learn how she's able to make things happen in her life. So she's definitely motivated. She's a go-getter. She's always traveling. She's living this fabulous life, and people want to know, how do you do it? How are you taking these risks? How are you continuing to learn? And I know that she gets questions about budgeting. How do I budget? How do I budget for trip planning? Those types of things. So when it comes to interest, even though I know Andrea has skills when it comes to finance and corporate work, that doesn't mean that she's necessarily interested in that. But some things I know she's interested in: travel, as I mentioned before, and hosting experiences that help people experience life without their self-imposed limits. So once I start thinking about those answers to those 3 questions, what are your unique skills or knowledge? What are your audience's problems? And does this align with your interests? I start to see all kinds of ideas for things that Andrea could monetize. I think that she could definitely help people with budgeting, especially around travel or planning events. So she could put together some type of a guide on how to plan your dream trip on a budget. Or she could put together a masterclass on putting together your first ticketed event and throwing some kind of local event to meet people in your local city. I even think that she could do some consulting and help people find their next steps. People who know that they want more and they feel stuck, or they're not getting the support from their family or friends, or they just want to hear how someone else did it. She could offer a one-on-one, like hour-long consulting call to help someone out like that. So that's really what I'm thinking about in terms of these spy questions. I want you to spy on yourself. I know that's cheesy, but I thought that when I came up with the acronym. But I really want you to think about really critically, what do you already have? Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to go out and learn all new skills and all new knowledge. You already have things that you can leverage right now. You just have to be creative and think about how you can apply that to what people are actually telling you they're struggling with, and then coming up with solutions that way. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that made a lot of sense. And I really, really want you to spy on yourself and then come back and let me know what ideas you came up with. So if you would like to share the results of your spy exercise, you can send me a message via Instagram. I'm at Pimp Your Brilliance. You can send me a message on Twitter. I'm pretty active there lately. I'm at Star Chasers Only. Or you can just simply email me and I will get back to you at hello@pimpyourbrilliance.com. So let me know what you came up with. Maybe I can help you brainstorm some ideas if you can't come up with any on your own. Finally, before I go, I wanted to share that I have officially launched the Brilliant Systems Shop. It's sort of a soft launch, but I've always wanted to create a resource shop full of trainings and tutorials of the systems I love. Because as I mentioned, I'm a systems nerd. I read everything I can about systems, and I'm always looking for ways that I can streamline, automate, and make things more efficient. And so I am really excited to be able to share some of my favorite tools and how I'm using them with you. So the first 2 resources have been added to the system shop. It's Asana for solopreneurs and SOPs, standard operating procedures for solopreneurs. And I would love for you to check it out. So if you are interested in implementing systems or maximizing the tools that you're using in your business, then I invite you to visit brilliantsystems.shop to check it out. All right, so that's all I have for today. But until next time, go out there and pimp your brilliance.